So this one already has an electron. And you're basically pushing this electron into this electron. And this electron pushes into the next electron. And this electron. So it's really an atomic function, electricity, where you're just taking the pressure of an electron. You're pushing it towards another electron. And the idea is to understand that every electron is radiating, a kind of heat, you could say. So we just thought of it as just radiating a kind. It's all he says so, right? So the second pulse on the oscilloscope could also just be stated to be, well, another meson hit really close to the same time as the other one, within a few millionths of a second. That's all it has to be, a few millionths of a second of the same time, and you get another pulse on the same trace. Why doesn't that work? There won't be any answer. Get a lot less further, they don't get as far. So you can understand, if I multiply that zillions of times, I start creating gigantic amounts of potential work the universe could be doing, pressure it could be creating. So if we thought about it as, being able to get from one surface to another surface to hit it to create pressure, like a vessel that has pressure inside of it, the little bits, the atoms are bouncing off the walls, creating pressure within the redshift thing, to just assume that because the galaxy's far, far away, the light is redshifted, so the light that's traveled a very long distance through space is different than the light that doesn't travel a long distance, and somehow because of that we have to conclude that there's space being filling all the time. Space is just poofing into existence between objects. And somehow it's not poof. We're too atheist. Their science was a threat to mankind because it was too atheist. And he invents nonsense, utter nonsense, monads and solitons. That's the frickin' crap you put right in the center of your physics and said, oh, we're proud to do it.
Collision, this one will stand still, and this one, V2 prime.
All right, so you have the obvious scenario, a mass M1, all right, same mass hits same mass. You understand that 16 seconds is now 1 unit of time, or 1 unit of time could be 8 seconds, or it could be any number. And you put that in here as a 1. And you know that the 1 represents 1 unit of time, 1 unit of the unit of the total time. And that'll tell you the total force. So if you want to know the total force, you put the total time in, divide by 1, and what do you have? The change in the momentum. So force, okay, Newton could have written it that simple. As momentum would predict, exactly as Descartes and Newton's mathematics would predict. Exactly the truth. Exactly correct. And it's the same is true for the elastic collision. The same rules apply.
What do we see? 1, 3, 8, 2,
We'll
8,
jump ahead
8.
again. No point in wasting time on
I will set them again to 0.
babbly little.
And now we get 1.
Running at a, I have it running at a very slow speed, so I figure I can just talk a little bit and just move this here, move this over there, and yeah. So it should. What'll happen is it'll keep this pattern. It started off mixed. It's starting to consolidate, and it's going to keep a red blue kind of pattern of how speakers work, which wasn't entirely correct. Okay, there's lots of kinds of speakers. They actually use transducers, that were used for ultrasound, sounds you can't hear. And they're now using transducers, like in your iPad and iPhone and stuff. They're using transducers to create sound, crystals vibrating. Anyway, obviously not working like a speaker, a fabric speaker. So anyway, moving things closer together. I gotta say that's a pretty good piece of evidence. That's makes Ray sound pretty good. Clearly, it's all straight line stuff. You add up a bunch of straight lines, and it adds up to something that looks like a circle. You could draw a circle around it and say this is where all the stuff, the stuff goes this far, no further. And you could draw circles to make it look like a wave, but is it really a wave? So just like the ocean, then, It's duplicating the pattern, and therefore it's going to duplicate the function, which is the flow of the electrons, the movement of the electrons. Now, the key thing to this whole veritasium nonsense crapola is this is really weak, because let's say you have a conductor, right? I think I have enough room here. All right, here's the conductor going into the board. So you have a wire, you know, and now you're gonna say it's gonna radiate this force. What radiates it in all directions. If you put in a closed system, this way and this way don't cancel each other out. Okay, momentum this way, momentum that way. It's all real momentum. It's all heat in the system. So if it was heat, you just increase the heat for free. Not logically possible, and I haven't gotten any rational response. I'm just sitting here saying, everybody, what? What are you? This is such a... God can do mysterious things, so that's why we have mv squared, because then everything can be magically energied. I mean, what is it? Understand the world in a more digestible format. You can't digest mv. That's too hard to digest. Bills, you know, money, let's say $50 or $100 or $1,000, and a number of bills. That would once go down. Now, obviously, the Earth pushes back. You can feel it pushing back. So some of your bits are going back up. And that's just because you're sitting on the surface of the Earth. And that's why you don't feel like, well, you might feel like you're moving, but you're not physically moving in any way we can see. But the truth is, the inside of you is moving a lot. And half of it's going this way, and half of it's going that way, because of the imbalance in the field. You've kind of dampened them all out by forcing it to say yes or no. You know, it doesn't have any of these quantum choice crap. And by doing that, the logic works pretty well, and you have systems built into it to ensure that the logic doesn't fluctuate, you know, that you don't have the wrong bit in the wrong place. You know, it's definitely a yes, and then you check, make sure it's a yes, and then you check again, is it really a yes? But to take away all of that, and then the thing don't work.
Leaving that aside,